I'll be a Cape Crusader for you. I will climb the highest mountain, pick the most beautifulest flower in the world. When we go, we will wish Mrs. McDay all the fondest wishes. I will wash all her dishes, and there's your mother in the driveway. America got older story. Mama's here, she's gonna come to dinner. We're gonna put pasta and potatoes and barrels of fruit on the table, if we're able. And the restaurant shooter has been identified. Clearly he sabotaged his retirement. It's a domino effect. A mess that can't be cleaned, it was fate. The train was running late. It was sitting in the classroom ready to read to a room full of first graders, or was it kindergartners? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Oh no, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. No, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. Where's your baby bump? Who'll be his father now? In the ruins of your former life, who'll you be when you lost your wife? Crushed in the rubble neath the falling sky, life squeezed out from her, crushed forever. The world turned to smoke and fire, diabolical laughter, an ocean away in a cave or a crummy mansion in Cadet City. Absolute truth gives way to absolute force, total annihilation, pulverization. Jump out of the plane so we can kick the dog. Step out of the car so we can kick the dog. Get out of yourself so you can kick the dog. Let's kick the dog. Let's kick the dog. Gonna crush your bones, gonna pulverize. Mother's waiting. Kindergarten's been a real tough year. Wake up in the decade that America got a little bit lost along the way. No, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. Oh, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. It's rainy and it's falling bricks. The screams of the metal will drive you sick. The death and destruction on the road to redemption. The bankrupt nation bloats with waste. The mighty eagle rests its wings. There's no more nothing for us now. Wing commander Texas Fire. She's a mental patient with a hair helmet. It was a stroke, he said. Gotta spend more time with the bees in the hive. There's honey to be made. Sleep when you're dead, but Texas oil comes first, then God and family. The rest are communists. Come to sell us hippie flowers and out-of-state checks, and a bunch of minds getting vexed by their godless heathen ways. State of confusion. But even heathens needed God on that day, and even communists were people on that day, and even Bible thumpers turned their heads to look away on that day, if only for a little while on that day. On that day. No, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. No, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. And hidden deep below the second in command's double vaulted layer, the mole men dug their way toward the sun beneath the sky on that day as they first breathed the human air. The sky turned to rubble and all was pulverized in a blaze of fire, in a blaze of fire. Rest your heads, children of men, you'll never forget that day, and the writers and poets will make sure to that. As we all go down, the thunder shakes the ground, and I think back to a time when my father's father knew. And there was nothing really that could be done. No, there was nothing really could have been done. There was nothing at all that could have been done. We were just lucky to be one of the ones to get out of there alive. No, it really doesn't matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. No, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. On that day everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. No, it doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. It doesn't really matter if you're a beggar or a king. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Everything turned to rubble, and a sad choir of 3,000 began to sing. A sad choir of 3,000. Sad choir of 3,000. 3000 began.